In today's chat, we'll talk about finding flow state in everyday life, her inspiring work teaching dance to seniors as old as 95, and how her networking events bring wellness professionals together. Adrianne also shares how Momo Yoga simplifies her business, managing everything from bookings to events. I hope you enjoy it. Have a lovely time. Hi there, and welcome to today's community chat. We're here with Adrianne Nightingale. So, Adrianne, thank you so much for joining. Perhaps to begin this community chat, would you like to start by introducing yourself?
Well, thank you for inviting me for the community chats. So I am Adrianne. I run a yoga business called Indie Yoga. It was named after my cat, Indie,
Oh,
who's sadly not with me now, but I have another cat called Wesley now. So I'm not going to change the name of the business.
a new business.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and I live in North Yorkshire in England, and I've lived here about 3 years. So this was a relocate actually from the south of England. I lived down in the south for many, many years. And so I relocated up here to be closer to my parents.
No.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. And tell me a little bit about indie yoga, if you like.
Yeah, thank you. I created indie yoga after obviously training to be a yoga teacher, and I started my yoga journey, I'd say, probably in 2014. I started going to yoga classes after a recommendation from an ex-boyfriend, actually, at the time. And he recommended I try yoga for my back injury. I had a back injury from training to be a dancer when I was 17. So my back was still giving me some problems. I'm now nearly 55. So
Wow.
this is a long, a long time that I have had a back injury. So
Mm.
I started training to be a dancer at 17. It continued throughout my pretty much my teens and my adult life. And yeah, in 2014, he said, I think you should try yoga. And I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So I started with online bits and pieces, yoga with Adrienne. And um, I thought, this is really helping me. And I came off like prescriptive opiates and a lot of prescription drugs for pain, and I was in pain clinics and things like that. So for me, it was kind of a natural progression to want to train to be a yoga teacher so that I could share the benefits with other people who suffered with back injuries as well. And you know, it took about 2 years to find you know, a school that I wanted to be trained with. And
Mm.
that was Real Flow Yoga by Tammy Stefani Mittel in London.
Mhm.
And it just fitted me. It was, she covered a lot of philosophy, anatomy, and it's through flow state. So I've adopted a lot of Tammy's teachings. I have to say that, being trained by somebody, being your mentor as such, is that a lot of your then teachings that you share comes from them.
Mm.
So I teach from a place of flow, and I hope that people that come to participate in my classes also find a state of flow. And really, indie yoga is all about finding flow state on and off the mat. It's not just in yoga, it's in daily life. And even in the simplest of tasks, the simplest of chores, or the most boring of chores, washing up, gardening, cleaning the house, I believe people can find flow state. So that's really where kind of indie yoga was created, really, from having the training and then wanting to go out and teach classes to people.
Beautiful. I love the word, like the flow is just beautiful. And how does one find flow in doing washing their clothes? Do you have to kind of dance while you're doing? Is it just
No, but
much
that's
more
it.
like
It's
that?
not kind of, yeah, but it's not about like the movement as such. We think about vinyasa flow or the flow of movement or the flow of breath, but it's the flow of the mind, the flow state. So coined by a American Hungarian psychologist called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Yeah, please don't ask me to spell that one.
Already that you can pronounce it is very good.
I know. It took a while. It took a while. So Mihai, Mihai, kind of found flow state, and really, it's about being in the zone. You know, that's just what it is. It's like being completely immersed
Mm,
in the task at hand. And, writers, artists, dancers, musicians, athletes, um, they will all find flow state in what they're doing because that's what their mind is set to do. It's creative, or it's sporty, or it's discipline or commitment.
mm,
And yoga, I feel, is a wonderful place to find flow state
mm,
because that rectangular sacred space that we come to maybe daily, maybe weekly, maybe on the off chance that you want to practice some yoga, is where we can really find ourselves, and we really do sync mind, body, and breath.
mm,
And I think that we become more aware of who we are as
mm.
well.
I was going to say, in my last community chat, we spoke about alignment, and it sounds very much like alignment. But in your case, I think it goes one step further in that the flow is sort of the result of the alignment,
Mm.
and being where you should be and doing what you should be. And yeah, can everybody find flow is my question because people struggle to find what they enjoy doing, and they struggle to take pleasure even in the smaller things. Is it accessible to all?
I believe so. Yes, I would absolutely say yes. Everybody can find flow. It's a state of mind.
Mm,
And I think there's actually a graph online, like a little image. Um, so flow sits kind of in the center where you feel comfortable, but there is some level of challenge, but not challenge where it becomes frustrating or you become anxious because it's far too challenging for you. So that's like somebody that's a beginner going to an Ashtanga primary series class.
yeah.
They're not going to find flow state on the mat because, that's not, they're going to be too challenged.
Mm,
And then there's a point where you're not challenged enough.
yeah.
So boredom and apathy
Mm,
set in.
mhm,
So it's finding that middle ground of being immersed,
mhm,
enjoying the process. This is the key thing, is enjoying what you're doing whilst you're doing it. And it's not really about the end goal, it's the journey.
yeah. No, no,
And
no.
I'm
I
sure
love that.
that I'm sure you hear that a lot from yoga
Yeah,
teachers. No,
I
it's not
feel that
about the,
too.
the end goal. It's about the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, yeah.
Enjoy the process is what I would say. And
Mhm,
and flow state, it is a state of mind. And I think anybody that reads a book, they get into that flow, they get into that story.
mm,
And even if they're a gardener, gardening, flow state, yeah.
yeah. But for someone attending your class, then, how can they know how much to challenge themselves? Because, for example, I've attended classes where I felt good afterwards, so I felt like I maybe found my flow. But during, it was borderline sort of like, oh my God, this is difficult. I'm sweating, and yeah, challenging myself. So where's the line between enjoyment and challenge?
Yeah, and there is always a fine line of enjoyment versus challenge, isn't there? And challenge to the point of I'm not enjoying this.
Mhm.
But we have to kind of remember that a yoga class is a certain amount of time, whether it be 60 minutes, 75 minutes. And there's always going to be an end to that challenge in that immediate moment.
Mhm.
And I think that's also where the nervous system comes in.
Yeah.
Our sympathetic versus our parasympathetic nervous system is that, okay, we're in the moment, we're in a challenging balance or a challenging flow, or we're being asked by, the facilitator or the instructor to do something that maybe not within our physical realm.
Mm.
But I feel again in yoga that something is always accessible to everybody, even if it stems a little bit of challenge in that moment. And to face that challenge with kind of belief and faith in yourself.
Mm.
And where I teach, I think I've got a completely mixed level in my classes. Some people have been doing yoga for many years. Some have only just come. I've got somebody who's only been coming to me for the last 4 weeks,
Mm.
and he is attempting to do what he can,
Yep.
and that's I think where everybody should be on the mat is do what you can.
Mm.
Um, and as a yoga teacher, we're always obviously looking for safety and no harm,
Yeah.
ahimsa and no pain.
Mm.
But I think that there has to be effort.
Mm.
So putting in kind of the effort in the moment
Mm. Okay.
is what I would say.
It
And you
makes
can always take a rest.
Yeah, that's true. But it makes me laugh because you often hear from yoga teachers that if they show, for example, a more advanced version of a pose, or if they say you can go into child's pose, people are so busy challenging themselves or trying to get to, it's like a number one thing that we're taught by society today that yeah, they'll still go into like the harder pose, and you kind of have to really insist on no, but really you can go into child's pose, like you don't need to suffer. So yeah, it just made me think of that because I know myself, even as a yogi, when I'm practicing, it's like you're in down dog, you're breathing heavily, you're like, okay, whew. And it's like you can go into child's pose and your brain's going to child's pose, going to child's pose. And it's like, but maybe I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit longer. So
Yeah, yeah. I do impress that on the class a lot, and at the moment, actually, in June, we're working on what I call the June challenge, and it's not my challenge to them, it's their challenge to themselves.
mm,
And what is a challenge? Meditation
mhm,
might be a challenge.
mhm,
Breath work, pranayama, might be a challenge to somebody. It's not just a vinyasa flow or a connecting vinyasa or a chaturanga or trying to balance. So what I've said to them is, choose a posture or a transition or a technique that we want to practice on, and that's what we'll bring into the classes. So at the moment, June for us is more like a workshop, and more kind of demos and talking and discussive,
mm,
rather than, okay, here's my challenge to you.
mm,
um, and I asked them, can you practice this daily?
mm,
So that it really gets into the system. And it's like riding a bike. They say that once you practice more, and practice doesn't mean perfect, it means proficient. Um,
consistency.
so yeah, the June challenge is really introducing what they would like to kind of investigate more, understand more, or even just become better and improve and become more comfortable with themselves. So that's what we're working on at the moment. So I've asked them for their postures, their techniques, and those are what we're working on in classes. So the group do challenge themselves
Mm.
without me even doing that.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
you do that all in person. Do you announce the challenge online and then you sit with the students and then sort of say, here's what's going to happen? Or how do you organize like a June challenge, for example?
So I've been doing the June challenge for some time. So I'd probably say about 6 years. And I send a newsletter out every month to all of my kind of database, and they're not all my students, you
Mm.
know. And so then they just reply to me just by email, and then I keep a little spreadsheet of what everyone said that they enjoy, what they don't like, what they would like to work on. And I try and incorporate all of those things into a sequence. Now, obviously, it doesn't make sense in putting hip opening things with back bends and so forth. So, I kind of
Go
create,
down the
yeah,
route.
exactly. I create the sequences like that.
Mm.
But yeah, we're sort of halfway through June already. So, I've already instilled this idea of really kind of daily practice with
Mm.
them. But I teach online classes as I teach in person as well. So the in-person people, I can chat to them before and after class of what they found challenging and what they found easy and comfortable.
Mhm. That's so generous of you to spend the time to collect that information and to organize it and create a sequence. How do you manage your time? Because I think I also saw obviously you do online in person. You also do Reiki therapy, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken. Stand-up paddle, I think sup yoga as well. So it's quite hands-on. How do you manage?
Yes, so that's interesting. Time management, I juggle. My diary is quite routined. So I teach, let me see, one, two, three, four online classes a week. I
Mhm.
teach two in-person classes. Then I do Reiki, and that's not very busy, but so that's just slots in. And
Mm.
then during the summer, so from April through till October, I'm a paddleboard coach and also I teach SUP yoga. So I'm a qualified SUP yoga
Amazing.
instructor. So I juggle those and they slot into the diary quite nicely. Then I also teach dance groups to seniors. So
Wow.
yeah, so twice a week, I'll teach dance and I have to choreograph sometimes those dances. And then I also have to learn other people's dances, so other leaders from our company. That's called Dancing for Wellbeing, and we're a not-for-profit company in the district of Harrogate and North Yorkshire.
Mm.
So that is wonderful to me, being an ex-dancer, being able to then deliver dance to people that are 70s, 80s, 90s. Our eldest is 95.
Oh.
So yeah, I juggle a lot of different things. I'm not just teaching 10 yoga classes a week.
Mm.
So yeah, time management is a thing, but I'm fortunate in the fact that I do have some spare time to myself. I don't have a full-time job.
Mm.
This is my full-time job, and I run the business as I am a self-employed person. I've been self-employed for, oh gosh, since I was 22 years old. So it was nothing new to me to running a yoga business because I ran an events business. I was a self-employed freelance event contractor, and I
Mhm.
ran very, very large corporate events for a lot of industries. So for me, time management was important because I had to prioritize certain things when I was running projects.
Mm.
And that's kind of the same what I'm doing now. I'm just juggling projects.
Mm. And it's for yourself, so there's more sort of
Yeah.
sense of worth and also it's just amazing what you're doing. I mean, you can only feel fulfillment from having seniors dance and obviously I can imagine sometimes for your body you have to listen to your body because it's all very
Oh, yeah.
oriented towards being in good health, touch wood for you, and, not getting sick and things like this as well. But yeah, wow, that sounds incredible. Teaching a 95 to dance, and also I love to dance. And I feel like
Oh.
with the whole sort of pandemic of loneliness for older people, etc., dance is the perfect way to really get those endorphins flowing and
Mm.
serotonin and everything and just make them feel good. Um, so yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing about movement, isn't it? Whether it be dance, yoga, Pilates, it's also, and whether you're doing it online or you're doing it in person, you start to build a community. And that's what we've done with the yoga class in Borough Bridge, in fact, is that they've actually built their own little community
Mhm.
from the class, and off they go from class to the pub.
Oh.
And they go for curries. They plan a curry evening. We also had garden yoga just a couple of weeks ago in one of the class students' gardens. They were like very kind to say, "Oh, let's use our lawn," and it was a beautiful lawn, a beautiful garden. So again, that's building community. And
Mhm.
like you say about the isolation and the loneliness, dance brings people together,
Mhm.
um, and particularly with Dancing for Wellbeing, is that those people most of them are women,
Mhm.
um, and they've lost their husbands and they're in their 80s, 90s, and they come to dance and for a little bit of movement and fitness, and you could remain seated. All of the dancers are either seated or standing,
Yeah.
and they could just,
Yeah.
hand jive
Mm.
if they like.
Mm.
And they can, and then afterwards we have tea and biscuits.
Oh,
So
God.
that's when they get to, mingle and chat, and that isolation just for that one day
Mm.
is wonderful. And they've, danced and to some songs that they like, Doris Day,
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, bless. It sounds
Yeah,
wonderful.
it is. Yeah, it really is.
Could I
Yeah.
ask you about the Reiki, if
Yeah.
that's okay? I mean, I have a friend who did the training. Yeah, it's fascinating. But can you perhaps explain a little bit? Is it healing with your hands? And is it hands on, hands off? Because I'm aware sometimes you can heal without touching. Yeah, can I?
Yeah. Sure. So, what I love about Reiki is that when I went for a Reiki treatment or Reiki session, um, was that I found, I was skeptical.
Mm,
And this was a long time ago. This was before yoga. This was before, this was again about my back. It was all about finding something that would help my pain management
mm,
and for my back injury. And Reiki was just one of many healing modalities, acupuncture, acupressure, everything. I tried a lot. I
mm,
really have. Um, and so for me, my first experience of Reiki personally was like, oh, I don't know if this is really working. But then I went for the second time and I was like, wow.
mm,
Um, and then that kind of when I was training to be a yoga teacher, I thought, the energy for me, as much as I kind of live in the state of flow, I also use the chakras as a guide.
mm,
So that's another thing that Real Flow Yoga teach through is flow state and chakras. So I introduce the chakras into my daily life, and that sits again with Reiki and universal energy and chi and the flow of energy around the body. So
mm.
it stems a little bit from Reiki is Japanese, and Qi is you'll look at it from traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
So it's about the flow of the Qi around the body, and particularly with traditional Chinese medicine, is that they'll target organs. So
Mm,
if you like look at Yin Yoga,
mm,
they'll target meridian lines.
yeah.
And in Indian philosophy, we have the nadi lines.
Yeah.
Again, the flow of energy around the body. So
Mm,
that is the same as the ki, the ray, universal force energy, and the ki, our personal life force energy or prana.
mm.
Again, all things that are in the Eastern philosophies,
Yeah.
but Western philosophies have like, what energy?
Terrible.
What?
It's changing a little bit. I think I see more and more people who are like, oh, your energy's off. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with Reiki, again, I was drawn to something that I felt worked for me, and
Mm,
I wanted to be able to share that with others. And I feel that I am quite an energetic being, in that I feel and I exchange energy with people I meet. And that kind of expression, you get a feeling for someone in the first 10 seconds of meeting them.
mm,
That's an energy exchange between you.
mm,
It's maybe not that you like their looks or what they're wearing. It's about that transmissive um, energy,
yeah.
the
Mm,
root of us as humans, as
mm,
our souls. So yeah, Reiki for me is wonderful. I love giving Reiki and I love receiving. And I've had really positive responses from, the clients that come to me. They say, wow, I feel wonderful, amazing after treatments.
mm,
And it's funny because I would say I'm not a Reiki healer. I'm not there to heal you because people need to heal themselves.
yeah.
And that's why they're going to these, whether it be yoga, Pilates, counseling, whatever they need go to help heal themselves. It's taking action. It's
Mm.
taking responsibility and autonomy for your own health and your own well-being. And I think that Reiki as a holistic therapy sits very well with modern medicine. So I had a student when I was teaching down in the South, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and we were using the Reiki to combat the stresses of the treatment
Mm.
for her. And you know, she felt calm and relaxed during and after a treatment, and that was for her, you know, getting herself out of the cancer care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself? I know some people who heal, and yeah, there's obviously an energy exchange there as well. You're still giving, but also receiving. That's just the way it goes. So,
Mm.
and I know that they have at some point maybe felt not so well afterwards or of lower energy, perhaps because they either gave too much or because they felt drained by the person's energy that kind of went into them. So yeah, how do you, even same with yoga, how do you protect yourself?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And you know, for me, I do have to protect personally my back, you know,
Yeah.
first of all. So if talking kind of about the yoga is that if I'm going to go and teach a class and I don't demo everything, I don't lead the class doing everything, I talk. And then if I were to go and demonstrate a posture and I haven't warmed up as fully as the class, that's where I feel a lot of yoga teachers can become injured. So again, it's being very mindful of what you're demoing and how much effort you put into that demo if you're leading a yoga class. But with Reiki, you're not taking their energy so much, you're shifting it around the body. So
Okay.
you're actually moving the channels, removing and clearing blockages of energy, if that makes sense. So I'm not taking your energy. It's
Going
not
in the
like,
room.
yeah, the Green Mile,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's how I picture it. Like it's going in the room and it's like floating about like these flies, and you just
Yeah, yeah.
that is it, or yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yes, there is universal energy that you're inviting in from past ancestors, past guides, things like that, maybe spirit guides, if people believe in that kind of thing. I do. I do feel that I have a spirit guardian.
Mm,
Um, and he has come to me, appeared to me in meditations before and in holy fire Reiki meditations.
mm,
So again, it's like clearing the energy from the space first of all before someone comes in. So that's just simply opening windows or an intention behind burning sage. I don't actually burn a lot.
okay.
um, I actually don't burn incense or sage very, very much,
Mm,
because I also feel that that's quite carcinogenic. Um,
yeah.
yeah, you're
I just
still
wait to put
breathing in
sage. It's like every
smoke.
day I'm
Yeah,
just staging my apartment, like get out, get
yeah, yeah. No, no, no.
out.
And I love the smells. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
love the smells of incense and sage. So clearing the space, first of all, before someone comes in. Protecting yourself, we have a technique called brushing. So it's literally just brushing off kind of the energy that you might have on you. Exactly. So it's literally like, okay, I'm going to send anything that I'm holding out of the room.
Mm,
Whilst you're working with with that person's energy, it's not about kind of drawing that energy into you as a negative.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, there's personal exchange there. And
Mhm.
again, at the end of the session, end of the treatment, brush off.
Okay.
You know, so you are clearing and you are protecting
Mm,
yourself. And then again, open windows, let all that energy shift around that's come out. And how you mentioned some of your friends,
yeah.
you know, feeling a little bit rough maybe
Yeah.
afterwards.
Mhm.
Um, Again, that's just the energy shifting around their body
Mm,
that has kind of released stagnant areas, These nadi, these meridian lines
Mm.
are a little bit more freer, and the chi or the ki
Mm.
is flowing a little bit better. And I hope that after they've had a Reiki experience, after a couple of days, those worse off feelings might subside.
Yeah,
If they
definitely.
don't, then yeah, they would need to have a chat with the Reiki practitioner.
Mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it. I could speak to you about Reiki for ages because I think I've never done it, but I really,
Oh,
really want to.
yeah,
And yeah, you definitely instill, I think, trust, because you can tell that you have, I think anybody who's experienced it, as a sort of person attending a session and then takes that passion for it and makes it their own, yeah, just has like a different feel for how you're feeling as well in your body
yeah, yeah.
session. So,
And I also have monthly Reiki treatments for myself.
mm,
It's a shame that when we train in something, we don't then receive it.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
so why all of us train in what we do is because we had a passion for it as a student and
yeah,
why we loved it. And
mm,
that's the same with yoga, is that if you get a yoga business and then you don't practice yoga,
mm.
where is the passion for what you did in the first place before delivering it to others? So Reiki, I absolutely have a monthly session with a Reiki practitioner. Yeah.
Amazing. You could tell your energy's fantastic.
Oh,
You're like,
thanks.
um, how have you kept things alive all this time? Because it's been a while. And have you ever, at any point felt like, you know what, I want to, I don't know, go off and become a doctor? Or I have no idea, but it's something completely different. Great that you're watching or listening to the Momo Yoga community chats. We hope that you enjoy our conversations. If you like what we do, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like our episodes. Namaste.
Yeah, keeping it alive. Business is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, running a business is hard. There's a lot of other businesses doing what you're doing out there.
Yeah.
Um, and there are a lot more yoga teachers being trained. There are a lot more, and this is the thing, yoga teachers train yoga teachers.
Yep.
um, yeah. So sometimes you take a dip. It's natural. If
Yeah.
things aren't going so well, you're not selling out your workshops, you're not selling out your classes,
Mm.
people aren't coming, and you go, what's going on? Where's the shift? What do I need to change here? And sometimes it might be, and we can't all be up here. We can't all be on a maintaining a high vibrational frequency and level
Mm.
and running at 100 miles an hour. We have to take those lulls and those dips, because then we know how good we feel on the highest points of our lives. So yes, if this is, a nice steady curvature of your life going up and down, and finding that midsection, that mid kind of frequency where you feel comfortable, everything's working well,
Mm.
that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
You know the highs, you know the lows. And
Mhm.
I have been there. Trust me, I've been at the low and I've been really at the high. And at the moment, I feel like I'm good. I'm in a good place. Things are working for the business. And I enjoy what I do.
Mm.
And I think sometimes if you have a little bit of a burnout, you can lose that passion very, very quickly. So again, new teachers that are coming into the industry, they kind of fill up their diaries and they go to this studio, that studio, this studio, that studio. And before you know it, they've got 20 classes in a week.
Mm.
And that's going to deliver a very, very quick burnout
Yeah.
for them. So it's about, I think, pacing and also gaining experience. When you're new, you want to, you've got that passion, you've got that enthusiasm and that drive, and all you want to do is teach.
Yeah.
And I did the same. I started planning lots and lots of classes. And at the time when I trained, so that was 8 years ago, I was in a full-time job. Well, I was in a full-time contract, so I was still working 40 hours a week on events
Yeah.
and then teaching evenings and weekends.
Mm.
And then eventually I started to dwindle that down to lesser hours, to
Mhm.
eventually stopping the corporate event side completely
Mhm.
and being able to do Reiki, paddleboarding, sup and dance, encompassing it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you look at your diary and it's busy. And I also cover classes for people. And only last week I covered some Pilates classes. Now, I'm not a Pilates teacher, but the company knew that. And I said, look, I teach yoga. I can teach Pilates. I've been to Pilates classes. I can teach it. I'm a dancer. I can teach that. I can teach yoga Lattes. So, and it was 8 a.m. in the morning, and I'm not the best in the mornings.
No, me neither.
So I had three classes back to back,
Oof.
each of 45 minutes. And there
Mm.
was no changeover between these classes. So it's 8 to 8:45, 8:45 to 9:30, 9:30 to 10:15. So 2.25 hours later, I delivered three 45-minute Pilates classes, and
Mm.
all of them had clapped after the sessions. And I was like, people don't clap in yoga. So I was
Okay,
quite
yeah.
surprised. But again, I was very nervous coming up to those Pilates classes. I'd written down the class plan. I had everything in my head, and when I actually was there, I was completely relaxed.
Mm.
And it just again it flowed.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody did seem to enjoy the classes afterwards. But yeah, it's avoiding burnout, I think, and trying to, and this comes back to what you said, self-care.
Mm.
Self-care is so important, and
Mm.
whether that be taking a day off work, a day off, teaching, a day off getting on your laptop, going out for a walk, doing some yoga, going to a Reiki practitioner.
Mm.
I think, all of those things are so important. And
Mm.
it's number one is self-care,
Mm.
um, because you're caring for others so much, I think,
Yeah.
that you often do forget yourself. So, yeah.
Mm. You know what I really loved as well is I checked out your website and something really stood out to me. And it's like it's a risky thing to say, so to speak, but for me, it just immediately was like respect. You mentioned how you're more expensive or maybe not as cheap as others, something like that. And I was like, this is awesome. I love the way that you phrased it. I love the fact that you know your own worth as well,
Mm.
and that you're not afraid to put that forward. So I just wanted to say, yeah, kudos for that because I really read it and I was like, oh, it kind of taught me to recognize my own value as well.
Yes.
Mm.
And some people don't.
Mm.
Um, it takes at work to recognize yourself and to love yourself.
Mm.
And some people don't like themselves.
Mm.
And I think the power that yoga can bring and alternative and holistic healings is a wondrous thing because sometimes we all just want the quick fix.
Yeah.
And I think the long term kind of health benefits of anything that we all do is the work that we put in to get there.
Yeah.
Not just going to the doctor and go, give me a pill to solve whatever condition I have.
Mm.
Um, I've had a number of injuries in my lifetime. I'm a sports person. I do a lot of water sports, which has stemmed from competitive slalom water skiing to wakeboarding, wake skating, wake surfing. So I've competed in those a little bit, and those are my thing. And
Mm.
I've been injured by my sport so many times: shoulder, knee, ankle, back. And we've got to do the rehab,
Mm.
afterwards. So you go to the physio, you go to the doctor. I've done this to my knee. I pulled my MCL, my
Mm.
medial cruciate ligament in my knee. And, you have to do the rehab. And
Mm.
it takes work and it takes effort and it's painful
Mm.
to go through rehab.
Mm.
But knowing your worth as a human being is I think hard to find.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, and valuing your worth, actually, this kind of comes quite nicely into working in the area around other teachers, because I moved up here with an existing yoga business that I had to relocate into an area where there was already a number of teachers.
Mm.
So it's important, I think, not to step on other people's toes,
Mhm.
but there is enough people to come to your classes.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes it's very easy to think, I'm going to get more people by offering a cheaper class.
Mhm.
But then you're undercutting the value of what everybody else is teaching around you. So, luckily, most people in this area teach around the same figure for hourly classes.
Mhm.
And I'm actually on the high end of that.
Mm.
Um, you know, I value all of the teacher trainings that I've been on. I've got 8 years of teaching experience in lots of different establishments with lots of different people, but also 500 hours of training.
Yeah.
And that's vinyasa, hatha, yin, restorative, trauma informed,
Mm.
sup yoga, seniors.
Mm.
Um, and so I kind of glean a lot of different things into my teachings.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to continue education
Yeah.
when we're working. You
Mm.
know, if you're in business, if you're in HR, human resources,
Mhm.
that the company that you work for are going to send you on training
Yeah.
courses, you
Definitely.
know.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important for us because we have to put every hat on. We have to put our sales and marketing, our advertising, our admin, our HR. We are our human resources. We're taking care of ourselves. That's our human resources. So we are a master, puppeteer
Yeah. Yeah.
of our own business.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because when I did come up here, I had a sort of a friendship with another yoga teacher in the area, and it turned very, very sour very, very quickly, which was really unfortunate. And it
Mm.
was quite upsetting for me because I'd relocated to an area where I didn't know anybody.
Mm.
And this relationship, friendship,
Mm.
um, it was just awful. It
Mm.
was just really very, very bad. And I didn't want that ever to happen again. So I learned from that.
Yeah.
And since then, I've actually started running events,
Nice.
which will probably bring us into what you
Yep.
want to talk about. Running events for yoga teachers to come together to meet one another with like-minded others that are also possibly and potentially struggling in their businesses, and also isolation.
Mhm.
We're in a very remote area. North Yorkshire is very rural.
Mm.
It's a lot of farms and a lot of farmland and a lot of villages and not big major cities. My closest cities are York and Leeds. York is 35 minutes, Leeds is 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And Manchester is like an hour and a half, so we're not nestled in big cities like London where there's lots of studios.
Yeah.
And most of us teach in village or church halls. And
Mm.
then the studios that are around can be very small, 6 to 9 people in a class. They're
Mm.
not big, big studios.
Mm.
So I felt that there was something lacking in a community feel for yoga teachers, wellness professionals, and I'm not just limiting that to yoga teachers. If you're a dance teacher, a Pilates teacher, a fitness instructor, or a Reiki, reflexology, sound baths, whatever it is that you offer in the well-being industry, sometimes you're very, very isolated and you're quite a lot on your own. So
Yeah.
I started running these events called Yorkshire Yoga Teacher and Wellness Professional Networking Events. I know it's a long title. I need to try and figure out a shorter version. And we're coming up to our fourth event in July. So we've already done three. And the feedback from the attendee, thank you. Yeah, the feedback from the attendees has been really, really good. They love what the kind of the ethos is behind it is to bring people together.
Yep.
And we're non-egoic. we leave our egos at the door. We leave our yoga teacher heads at the door. We come in as individuals that are working in a wellness space.
Mm,
Um, it's non-competitive, and I've created an agenda that is an offering. It's a sharing.
mm.
So everybody comes with something. Well, they don't have to come to offer. They can
Yep.
just be. They can just attend,
Okay.
and so the last few events I've had 16 people attending, and they've, majority of them have been yoga teachers or sound healers or dance teachers,
Mm,
sometimes qigong as well, or kirtan.
mm.
And we all teach differently, so the agenda is created by the attendees, and really it's kind of like a little mini day retreat. You
Yeah.
get to experience meditation or breath work or philosophy talks. And then we talk about business and running your business and possibly marketing and, tips of being a better business person, because most yoga teachers, we're not business people, we're not
Mm,
business minded. So those events are really around getting like-minded wellness industry specialists to come together to share their knowledge, learn something new from other people, and go away with a contact sheet
mhm.
of people that you could connect with to
Yeah.
either go to their classes or collaborate with them on events or retreats. And I feel that collaboration is really strong. So
Mm,
you get two diverse sets of customer coming in through the door.
yeah.
So I like to now collaborate with people on retreats or special events. So
Wow.
that's, yeah.
It's such a good idea. Honestly, I think the fact that you've oriented your events towards other teachers is just fantastic because yeah, I attended a festival here, I think it was last November, and the main thing that came out of all of the conversations I had with different yoga teachers was, especially the beginning ones, I don't know who to speak to. I am lacking community. I don't know who to ask questions to. And it really got me thinking. I was as well. I was like, I want to also organize events, even though I don't actively teach, but I'll
Yeah.
just provide space because people really needed that space. And so in the end, I took people's numbers and then gave them to other teachers, and then they were able to exchange and collaboration, like you say. I think to
Yeah.
be able to collaborate is so important. It's not easy. I think you have to really match each other's energies and
Yeah.
visions and everything. But if you're able to even attend a group of 16 and have one person where you feel like, oh, wow, this
Mm.
works,
Hmm.
and that's just fantastic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well done. That's wonderful.
Thanks. Yeah. And I feel that sometimes we're better together.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate in the fact that that awful experience with that person when I first moved up here
Mm.
um, hasn't mited my other friendships
Yeah.
with other yoga teachers
Mm.
who do teach in the area. I've attended their classes because I need to practice.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm going there to check out how you're teaching, so that I can then steal your students.
Write it
I,
down.
I'll find my own, but I need to go to yoga practice. So, and I want to go and locally
Yeah.
and support local businesses.
Mm.
Um, so now I've built a really nice network of people and friends. I can call them friends, and associates that if I needed a cover, I could phone up and say, "Oh, could you cover my class?" Oh my gosh, and I have a student who attends my classes and she covers my classes when I'm away, and I don't go away a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel now that I think maybe I organize the events for myself at
Mm.
the end
Yeah.
of the day. But also, I think that they needed them as well. If
Yeah.
I needed it, then there's other people
Yeah.
that needed that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When is the next one then?
Um, the 6th of July.
6th
Yeah.
of July.
In
Okay, we'll
Wiltshire.
put the
Yeah.
link below this video if you like, so that people can
Oh.
see. I mean, I'm sure that you have plenty of people attending anyway.
Yeah, no, thank
Um,
you. Thanks. Yeah, that's kind. And we already have our agenda sorted. So we've got Zumba.
Ooh,
We have a gong bath, we have yin, we have qigong, and hopefully, I'm just waiting for another person to confirm that they're going to offer a meditation.
nice.
So, and that makes a really, and it's a full day.
Yeah.
And I'm not charging, if you were to go for a retreat and receive all of those, qigong, sound bath, yin, meditation, and Zumba, you'd pay £100.
Easy, easy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm charging 39
Yeah. Mm.
for the day
Mm.
because I want to keep it low
Mm.
because I just want people to come to be together.
Yeah.
So once I've, paid for the hire of the studio, great. And it's a beautiful studio. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh, it's
gosh, it
so
sounds
lovely. It's
wonderful.
on a farm. It
Oh,
looks out onto Yorkshire countryside and it's stunning.
oh wow. Sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Um, I think we're gonna round it up here. Is there any final thing you want to share about what's happening for indie yoga or anything more? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty I could speak to you for ages, but yeah, if you want to share anything, then go ahead.
Well, I don't think we've spoken really about how Momo yoga sits into my business.
That is true, but these chats tend to sort of deviate away from Momo. I think it's the beauty of them is that they're so oriented towards you and your
Yeah.
business and other teachers or students or yogis or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have been with Momo for quite some time, and we're really, really, really grateful. Um, but yeah, if you want to share anything about Momo Yoga, you're more
Well,
than
I
welcome
would
to.
like to because I actually feel that Momo Yoga simplified my teaching business because I come from an event background. I come from a very, very process driven organizing of events.
Mhm.
And a lot of the stuff was on Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But what Momo Yoga did for me during lockdown, I started using it 5 years ago, was that it simplified payments, it simplified bookings and classes and people canceling and management of that rather than ticking people off on an Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And I feel that, from when I joined 5 years ago, to now, Moma Yoga has created and developed so many other things within the back end
Mhm.
for the user. Me, I'm technically I'm the client, but the end user
Yeah.
is the student.
Yep.
And you've created and developed in the back end so many useful things like the events page, like the videos library, and I feel that it's really just it's taken a lot of the admin work away
Mm.
from managing a business. And I think the money that I pay, and I pay annually, is invaluable to my business,
Yeah.
and particularly just to tap on events because I'm an event director, I'm very event minded,
Mhm.
is that the events within Moma Yoga really helps streamline retreats, special events, workshops. I'm currently using about 14 events
Amazing.
on Moma Yoga at the moment. And what I love about it is that I can set different prices, early birds, things like that. And I love that.
Mm.
And I know that you guys at Moma Yoga continue to develop, and there's always things that are going to be rolled out.
Mhm.
And I'm always thankful when you invite me to come and kind of be your beta tester or chat to me about, oh, how's this working for you? And I'm like, oh, well, this, you could do this or you could try this. And some things, could be costly in the back end to develop.
Mhm.
But I think what you've done so far into come into a very busy market as well of booking systems.
Mhm.
And I mean, I use other booking systems when I book classes,
Yeah.
and I just don't like them as much.
Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
lovely. I have to say, I joined over 2 years ago now, and I remember they were working on events at the time,
Mm.
and I have to say the amount of soul that goes into the actual reflection behind it and the passion for yoga and so forth is genuinely there, and it's something that I love about working for Mama Yoga. I see it like the development, the way they choose the different features that are going to come and so forth is really comes from a good a place of good intention. So
Yeah,
thank you for noticing that. That really means
yeah.
a lot.
And that's what I think I like about the company is that you're not too big to forget about your
Mm.
clients.
No.
You value our input, you value our feedback, you value us as a client.
Mhm.
And I've loved, chatting to Youst and chatting to you and
Mhm.
chatting to your developers, because I know that at the end you need us to improve the system because we're the ones who are using it, and I use it daily.
Yeah.
I am in Moma Yoga is number one on my my web browser. I
Mm.
go into it daily.
Yep. Yep.
If it's not on my laptop, it's on my phone.
Yeah.
So and it, yeah, I think it's simplified things for my students. Sometimes they get a bit confused.
Yep.
So yeah,
Thank you so much, Adrienne. I have loved speaking with you, and
yeah.
yeah, let's stay in touch. And yeah, just thank you for everything that you've shared. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I've really enjoyed this morning's chatting.
Awesome.
And it's not just about chatting about myself, but just chatting about, the industry itself and the challenges that can come up as well. And
Yeah,
I hope this, enlightens others
I'm
to,
sure it will. No doubt about it.
yeah.
Have a
Have a
lovely
great day. Talk soon. Keep
day.
in
Speak to you
touch.
soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Bye.